Classroom is here for you. It helps you in all you do. It helps you know you do. So tune in and now enjoy the fun. It's time for English, everyone. Studio Classroom is on the air. You can watch it everywhere. English is the way to go. So join us now, enjoy the show.
Hello there and welcome to Studio Classroom. We are having a great time so far and we're glad that you are joining us for a great lesson. My name is Gabe.
And I'm Anne-Marie. Friends, we are glad you're here because today is a great day to learn something new.
So let's do that together. Well, we are going to learn something new today about a certain type of chemical. Before we get into that, I have a question for you. What chemicals do we use that might be harmful?
Oh, harmful chemicals. Well, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know the names of a lot of specific chemicals, but I will say in recent years I've been really careful what kind of cleaning products I use around my house. Since I have small children and also a cat at home, I don't want to use anything too strong.
Right, you don't want to use anything too strong. You've heard the rumors about different chemicals on different products, especially cleaning products. You look at the back of those bottles and see all these words that you don't recognize and you think, that can't be good for us to put into our bodies or to have near, like your mouth or your eyes or things like that. Friends, we're going to learn about a certain type of chemical called PFAS today, or a group of chemicals, types of chemicals. The lesson is the problem with PFAS. Let's get right into it.
The problem with PFAS. These nasty chemicals have worn out their welcome. If you've never thought about per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, now may be the time to start. PFAS are synthetic chemicals that have the characteristics of water repellency, anti-fouling, heat resistance, and wear resistance. They are widely used in industrial and household cleaning products, as well as in the tech industry to manufacture specialized parts.
Hi everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们首先来看 synthetic 这个形容词，它的意思是合成的或是人造的。譬如 This synthetic fabric is supposed to be very strong, so it is used to make tents and umbrellas. 这种合成纤维应该非常坚固，所以被用来制造帐篷和雨伞。或者是 Synthetic chemicals make up many everyday products. 许多日常用品都是化学合成物的材质。再举一个例句 You can't tell that these shoes are made from synthetic nylon. 你看不出来这些鞋子是由人造尼龙材质做的。
Thank you so much, Jack. All right, the problem with PFAS. These nasty chemicals have worn out their welcome. Right there in the deck, you see an adjective, nasty. Another word we could use here is disgusting. It's just not very pleasant at all.
That's right. The word nasty can be used in a lot of different situations to mean a few different things. Here it does mean disgusting or gross, but if somebody says something nasty to you, it could mean that that is something really mean and unkind as well. The idea with nasty is it's just not nice, it's gross, it's disgusting, it's not a good thing at all.
That's right, so don't say nasty things to other people. But back to nasty chemicals. These nasty chemicals have worn out their welcome. Anne-Marie, I love this phrase. What does it mean to wear out your welcome?
Well, if you wear out your welcome, it means you have stayed in a place for too long. For example, if you have someone come to stay at your house and maybe they said they were going to stay for 2 days, but they end up staying for 4 or 5 days and you get a little bit tired of having them stay at your home with you, you could say, they have really worn out their welcome.
have you ever worn out someone's welcome? You know, it's kind of hard to tell at first if you've stayed somewhere for too long. You really do have to try to read social cues, because the people who are hosting you are not likely to say, hey, you need to get out right now. But the fact is, if they've only invited you for a certain amount of time and you stay way beyond that time, it might make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. They're not sure what to say, but maybe you've worn out your welcome.
Yeah, that's right. Well, our article continues by saying, if you've never thought about per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, now may be the time to start.
Wait, can you say that again, Anne-Marie?
Which one? Which one?
Polyfluoroalkyl?
Polyfluoroalkyl substances. This isn't a word that we see every day. This is a very scientific word, friends, so don't worry if you struggle to pronounce it. Now, you may have heard us say PFAS or PFAS a few different ways. Really depends on what part of the world you are in. Both of those pronunciations are okay. So we're hearing here that if you haven't thought about these substances or chemicals, now may be the time to start. That means it is time now to start thinking about them.
We read PFAS are synthetic chemicals that have the characteristics of water repellency, anti-fouling, heat resistance, and wear resistance. Well, the idea of repellency, or to repel something, is to push it away. So if something is water repelling, that means somehow it's kind of pushing water away, or water doesn't affect it. Anti-fouling is used to control or prevent the attachment of unwanted organisms. You could think of maybe the bottom of a ship that usually collects barnacles and other sea organisms, but if there are PFAS chemicals on the top, then those kinds of things won't attach to the ship as easily.
That's right, and we see here how these chemicals are usually used. They are widely used in industrial and household cleaning products, as well as in the tech industry to manufacture specialized parts. We'll continue talking about PFAS right after today's InfoCloud.
Welcome to InfoCloud. Hey Rex, that's a nice jacket. It looks good on you.
Thanks, Campbell. My sister bought it for me.
Do you know what fabric it is made of?
What do you mean by fabric?
Well, fabric refers to any material that is used to create cloth. So, for example, cotton, silk, and wool are all fabrics.
Oh, I see. Wait a minute. Does that mean fabric is not the same as material or cloth?
Right. Cloth specifically refers to a finished material that has been woven or knitted together.
I think I get it. So basically, the cloth is made from fabric?
That's right. The fabrics wool and cotton are used to make a cloth called flannel. Cotton is also used to make a cloth called canvas.
And what about materials?
The word material can be used in a broader sense. It refers to anything that can be used to make another thing. So a material could be a fabric, metal, plastic, leather, or something else.
Does that mean cloth is a material too? You can use cloth to make clothes, right?
That's true. And you know what? I think the fabric of your jacket is cotton. It looks nice.
每一件衣服穿起来的感觉都不一样，有些很柔软舒服，有些则是比较坚挺。这是因为每一件衣服都是用不一样的 fabric 制造出来的。Fabric 是布料 ，fabric 跟 cloth 不一样。Cloth 是一块完整的布，它所使用的制造材料就是各式各样的 fabric， 例如棉料、羊毛、丝绸。棉料和羊毛用来制造的布又叫做 flannel 绒布。棉料也可以用来制造另外一种布，叫做 canvas 帆布。最后，任何用来制造另外一个东西的材料都可能统称为 material。所以刚刚介绍的各种 fabric 或 cloth， 每一样都可以说它是 material。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
The problem with PFAS. PFAS can be made into waxes for floors or fabrics that need to be waterproof and stain-proof. They are also used in the food industry for products like oil-resistant paper packaging and non-stick cookware. The chemical properties of PFAS are so stable that they have earned the nickname forever chemicals. They are resistant to processes like biodegradation and chemical decomposition, which break things down naturally. That means once they are dumped into the environment, they can stick around in the water and soil for many years.
接着来看 waterproof 这个形容词，意思是防水的。譬如 My cell phone wasn't waterproof, so when I dropped it into a puddle of water, it died, and I had to get a new one. 我的手机不防水，所以掉到水坑里时就坏了，我不得不买只新手机。或者是 Bernice put on her waterproof boots before she went out into the rain. Bernice 在雨天出门前穿上了防水靴。或者是 A waterproof tent is essential if you are going camping in the fall. 在秋天露营时，防水帐篷是必须的。再来看 stick around 这个片语动词，意思是逗留或是停留。譬如 The storm stuck around for 2 days and caused a lot of damage. 暴风雨停留了2天，造成很大的损坏。或者是 Eric told Tom to stick around after the meeting because there was going to be a surprise announcement that he wouldn't want to miss. Eric 叫 Tom 在会议结束后留下来，因为将要宣布一个他不会想要错过的重大惊喜。再看一句 Even though the restaurant was full, when we got there, we stuck around and got a table within 15 minutes. 尽管我们到餐厅时已经客满，我们还是留了下来，并在15分钟内就有桌位了。
Thank you so much, Jack. Okay, we read PFAS can be made into waxes for floors or fabrics that need to be waterproof and stain-proof. We also see the word resistant in the next sentence. They are also used in the food industry for products like oil-resistant paper packaging and non-stick cookware. Often we use the words proof and resistant to mean the same thing, but maybe depending on the product, you'll use one word or the other.
Yes, I like to think of these two words as the phrase, it doesn't. So for example, it doesn't stain. That would mean it's stain-proof. That might help you remember how to use those words, proof and resistant, friends. All right, well, we see that they are also used in the food industry for products like oil-resistant paper packaging and non-stick cookware. I think this is a really practical one for us to think about because we all know in the news several years ago it came out that non-stick cookware is super dangerous. And this is why, right? Because of PFAS. So that's just a practical example for us to see from our everyday lives how we are using these chemicals.
Well, we read on here, the chemical properties of PFAS are so stable that they have earned the nickname forever chemicals. So they are called forever chemicals. They have earned this nickname because these chemicals are so stable. They're not easily broken apart, okay? They are resistant to processes like biodegradation and chemical decomposition. Biodegradation, or the idea of biodegrading, and decomposing, they kind of mean the same thing. Biodegradation is the process of decomposing, especially by bacteria or living organisms. But decomposition just refers to decaying or breaking down in general.
And this is something that happens naturally with everything, right? On the earth, things break down and go back to their original state. Food gets rotten and decays. It decomposes. So the point here is that these chemicals are resistant to biodegradation. They don't break down easily. easily or naturally. That means once they are dumped into the environment, they can stick around in the water and soil for many years.
Okay, and we've talked about that word dumped before. You can release something somewhere or you can throw something somewhere. Dumped is kind of implies a rude way of doing something. Just kind of, okay, I'm just going to throw it out there. So things can be dumped into the water and into the environment, but these chemicals can stick around for a long, long time, no matter where they are. That's not a very fun thing to think about, so I think it's time for today's fun fact.
Hello, fact friends! I'm Detective Ernest Finder, and this is your fun fact for today. Did you know that water is a chemical? It is! It's true! It is a very strong chemical and can break down lots of other chemicals. Pow! It's very crazy. Water is made with 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen molecules. H2O. So never drop your phone in H2O. It's dangerous. And that's today's fun fact.
The problem with PFAS. The persistent nature of these forever chemicals has enabled them to accumulate worldwide, even in remote areas. PFAS can also accumulate in humans and animals, causing damage to the liver and the immune system, and raising the risk of certain kinds of cancer. The dangers of PFAS are real. What we need now is a viable solution.
最后来看 viable 这个形容词是可实施的或是渴望成功的意思。譬如 Do you think a new business in this area will be financially viable? 你认为在这个地区开展一个新公司会获益吗？或者是 The city's solution to the pollution problem in our neighborhood seems to be viable. 该市对于解决我们社区污染问题所提出的方案似乎是可行的。Viable 的名词是 viability， 意思是可行性。例如 The viability of the company's plan to expand the research department is questionable. 公司要扩大研发部的计划的可行性还不确定。
Thank you very much, Jack. We read here, the persistent nature of these forever chemicals has enabled them to accumulate worldwide. Well, I want to talk about the use of that word nature at the beginning of this sentence. This is talking about something's characteristic or its trait, something we can know about that thing or that person. Here's another example. You can use another adjective, right? His friendly nature makes him very popular.
And we see here that these chemicals have a persistent nature. That means they are not easily changed. They are going to stay like this no matter what you do to them. It has enabled them to accumulate worldwide. Now, I really like that word accumulate here. It means that something has built up a lot over time. Now, this is actually a word you might have heard for the weather before, or maybe not if you're from a hot climate. But where I'm from, the way we talk about the amount of snowfall we have is accumulation. How much snow accumulation? So that just means how much snow has fallen on the ground. We use a similar word to talk about the rain, right? We'd use precipitation, but for snow, it's accumulation.
So the idea is that the snow has fallen, and before the second layer comes, the first has not disappeared, right?
Exactly. So it's building up on top of each other over and over and over.
Right. That's the idea with accumulation, okay? So it's terrible. These chemicals are accumulating worldwide. They're not disappearing when new ones come. Even in remote areas, PFAS can also accumulate in humans and animals, and this is the scary thing, causing damage to the liver and the immune system and raising the risk of certain kinds of cancer.
When I read this sentence, I just thought, wow, this sounds so nasty, right? It's disgusting. I hate the thought of having chemicals accumulating in my body. We read here the dangers of PFAS are real. What we need now is a viable solution.
Right, we need kind of a reasonable solution, a very well thought out solution, something we can do about these chemicals. And we're going to find out a little bit about what those solutions might be in the next part of our lesson. But we do have a talk about it question. Are there any products containing PFAS in your home? Let's see what David Morton had to say. David.
Yes, sir.
Are there any products containing PFAS in your home? If so, how many? Do any of them surprise you?
All right, well, I can't even really count how many have PFAS or might have PFAS, but one that surprised me is sticky notes.
What?
Yeah, so some companies have decided to stop using PFAS in the sticky part, basically the adhesive, this part. A lot of companies in the past have used PFAS to make that adhesive. Some companies have said they won't do it anymore, but not all of them, so don't lick sticky notes. And the other one, speaking of licking things, is dental floss.
Ooh, that's something that a lot of people use.
Yeah, and specifically, it's the kind of dental floss that has that wax on the outside that makes it easier for you to floss. That wax in some dental flosses contains traces of chemicals that people think are connected to PFAS. So it's just, you never really know. These PFAS are such an incredibly useful chemical, but the problem is that they can be very dangerous if they're used irresponsibly. And sometimes we don't know the dangers of those kinds of chemicals until we've been using them for a few generations.
Well, thanks a lot, David.
My pleasure.
All right, well, we do have a quiz for you to finish our lesson today. So close your magazine, friends. I see, Anne-Marie, you're not peeking at the lesson
I'm not.
either.
I'm ready.
That's good. Okay, well, the question is simple, I hope. What nickname was given to PFAS? Do you remember?
I remember because it is so nasty, friends. The nickname given to PFAS was forever chemicals because it's very hard for them to break down.
Yeah. One thing we learned about PFAS was that they have a very persistent nature. It's very hard for them to break down. They don't biodegrade or decompose like a lot of other things in nature do. In fact, they're just accumulating all around the world.
And inside of us as well. Well, I think we need to hear about some viable solutions to PFAS, friends. So make sure that you come back tomorrow and join us. We'll be talking about some of those solutions tomorrow. We'll see you then right here on Studio Classroom.
Yours at all times, a good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.